Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and today is July 22nd. It's a Monday evening here in Southern California where I'm broadcasting live on YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application, and you found me on Facebook, How to Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. And yes, the child protection system is bad. And if you don't know it, I'm sure you'll find out in the next hour. It is an agency that I thought was supposed to protect our children from abuse and neglect. And when they break the family apart, they're supposed to do family reunification because it's been proven that the best parents for the children are the biological parents. The biological parents. And right now, all the child protection system is doing, CPS is doing, is they trafficking your children, put them into foster care for adoption. That is their goal, is to adopt those kids, to terminate your parental rights, to steal, to alienate your children. That's who CPS is. And if there's any child protection system social workers listen, please call in and tell me it's different. I've had only one social worker, Carol from Maryland, who said that she had a degree in clinical psychology and that she had 6 months of training from the state of Maryland. But that's it. Everyone I've talked to, over 500 some people around all the states, including Washington, D.C., have told terrible things about CPS. And I have cited examples, including my own. My own was bad too. Now, I want to go over how you can interact with this podcast. There are 4 ways, roughly. One way is just to be in the room and listen. That's important to listen because maybe you'll learn something that will help your case. I know that most of you are hurt by what's happened to your family, that children were taken that were in extreme danger, that you're led to believe to give up your children so you get them back. They're all stories and lies that the CPS told you. Now, besides being in the room listening, you can also call me at 626-698-0990. That is my office number, and I can be reached at that number during the times I'm on the show. I'm on the show Monday through Sunday, 2 times a day, one at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, except on Sunday. I'm on at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. The other time is I'm on 7 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time for an hour. And that, again, is 7 days a week. So that's 14 podcasts I do per week. Now, a third way that you can interact with this podcast is to text in comments to the room. And when you're texting in comments, it's important that you stick with CPS. It should be CPS questions, something related to the child protection. And when you do text in, please show your name, city, state, or country, and to be complete with your CPS case. Now, when I say country, there's about 13 countries that have called in about CPS issues in their home. The latest one being a province in South Africa. I've also heard from Bangladesh and from India and several countries in the continent of Africa. Besides South Africa, I've had Mozambique, which is above South Africa, on the east side, and the opposite from Madagascar. In the central east of Africa, I had Rwanda, where a horrible thing happened in the 1990s, where there was genocides of over 500 to 1 million people. It was a horrible thing to happen, and that happened not too long ago. Now, another country called Liberia on the west side of Northern Africa has called in or texted in, and there's a man named Archie who has said that he's a scout leader and helps out his boys and girls in his country. Now, I've also heard from Europe, from Denmark and Sweden, from the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, and then from Canada, both the east side and the west side of Canada, several times. I've heard from Mexico, and of course the 50 states and Washington, D.C., and I've heard from Australia. And one other country is called Ghana, down in South America, little coastal town called Georgetown. They're east of Venezuela, north of Brazil. So those countries have text messages, and some of them have serious problems. Now, with your case, make sure it's complete. And the way to be complete is you need to identify the family structure. Meaning, is it made up of a husband-wife, a partnership, girlfriend-boyfriend, or just lovers? Or the parent, one of the parents is gone, you're a single parent raising a child, or you have children that have several fathers that are absentee or several mothers. There's all kinds of different scenarios. So it helps me if you tell me your makeup of your family unit. Then what happened that you lost your children? Did you give them away? Did you the police come in your home and take them? So tell me how you lost your children. Were they in extreme danger? And then I need to know where you're at on your case. And then your questions, and I can help you as best I can from my experience. I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving father of 6 children, been married for 32 years. And welcome, Natalie. I haven't seen you for a couple days. Natalie is from Hollywood, California, in the Los Angeles area. And yes, I'm okay. I'm a little bit more formal dressed than you've seen me, Natalie. And no, I'm not running for office. I'm not running for office. I'm trying to look professional on this podcast. And hopefully I look good. I haven't worn a tie in years, many, many years. And hopefully I've tied it right. And I'm trying to be very professional. Now, you say Canada has a child protection system as what do you mean by child protection as a child staff? I'm confused there. Natalie further says, single parents, the internet's been down good. And thank you for my nice tie. Thank you. Anyway, I'm so glad to see you. I don't know where the rest of the troopers are. Sometimes I have to constantly remind them, so I will text them right now and find out where they disappeared to. One of the people is Faye, and she's from Richmond, Kentucky, a remarkable woman with a lot of help on the show, with a lot of ideas. Okay, we have somebody here. The best time to call me is 7 p.m. Pacific time. My phone is not off. It should be on right now. I am taking calls. Let's see here. Yep, sound is on. Yep, the phone is working. I have no idea. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Welcome, Michelle White. I'm not sure. I think you may be new. She's from Georgia. You look great, Bob. Thanks for the compliment. It is usually you are one of my God blessing. Well, thank you very much. I really do try to help. Okay, boy, I have a lot of messages here. Okay. Um, well, okay, I have a lot of people that want to get on, but boy, where'd they all go? Huh. Okay. Okay. Um, I'm trying to get all the people here. Okay. I have no idea why you can't call in. Let me see here. Well, my phone's ringing, so any that are trying to get a hold of me, please call me again. Please call me again. Hey, we finally got someone. Yay. Bob Pace.
Hi, Bob.
Who's this?
This is Gladys, my friend Lydia is in the line. Hi.
Wait, I got two people here. Who am I talking to?
So Gladys has a question about an appeal. Her case, her rights were terminated June 2022. Do you know what's the process, or if you try to appeal it and it didn't go through, can you try to reappeal?
You can always appeal anything you want. The problem is the statute of limitations. And now I hear two different voices. The person you're speaking for her name is what again?
Gladys.
Gladys, yes. I've seen Gladys's text message, and I think she tried to talk to me earlier this morning, but her voice was so low I could barely hear her.
Right.
And what are you relationship to Gladys?
I'm helping her translate.
Oh, okay. So are you from what country?
We're calling from Utah.
Oh, that's right. The Utah. I remember that. Is she a Native American and only speaks the Indian dialect?
No, she's from South America.
Oh, and she's moved to Utah. Gotcha. What country in South America is she from?
Gladys, where are you from?
Colombia. Okay, I heard that. Colombia. Well, welcome to the United States. And you already have a CPS case?
Yes, she's been battling with CPS for a couple of years, and her rights were terminated June 2022.
Oh, wow.
Because of her lack of English.
Well, she comes in the United States. I'm afraid what's happened to our border, we no longer require people to speak English or the native language. We don't require them to become a U.S. citizen or learn the government or the history of the United States so that you can appeal your right. And I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm welcome people from around the world to the United States. But one of the things is it's important you learn the language and you learn the culture and things that way when a problem comes up, you don't have this issue. But I'm so glad Gladys's friend is calling on her behalf. What is your first name? Liliana. Okay, Liliana and Gladys. Liliana and Gladys are from Utah. Is it a city called Omic? O-M-I-C?
No, it's Orem. O-R-E-M.
Okay, Orem. Okay. And it's predominantly Latter-day Saints is the makeup of that particular place, right?
It's what? I'm sorry?
The religion predominantly is 97%. It's Mormon. It's a Mormon.
Latter-day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Latter-day Saints.
And the problem I read about your city, they have a lot of problem with so many people that have positions as policemen and as judges and CPS workers. And it is hard because they are jeopardizing, if they stand out, their position in the community. It's really hard to bring criminal charges or to fight them. And it's all because
male-dominated.
Well, it's not only male-dominated. It's because they're hiding. I mean, there have been a lot of stories that the Mormons used to believe in multiple wives with one man. And they still do. And they still practice it, and we still persecute them. But you're in a city that has a bad history. I read all about it. I studied it at lunch after my show because I wanted to see where Lily was from. So it is hard.
Yeah.
And so I know that you are there.
So hard.
Yes. It's really, really hard. And then on top of that, you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
And
it's like the Catholic priest. They can do whatever they want, and nobody tells them what to do. So it's no different than that. The men, they think they have this priesthood, and that covers them for anything and everything.
Right. I want to talk about one more way you can interact with this podcast. Don't leave. Stay right there. But I got to finish my how they interact with this room. Now, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, please contact my producer. my show producer. Her name is Grace. She does a beautiful job behind the scenes, keeps me straight, but she'll help you get into the podcast, give you a link to a SteamYard, and tell you what you can do as a guest on the show, like no eating, no smoking, those kinds of things. And so
Okay.
that is the fourth way. It's not directed towards you, Gladys or Lily. This is directed towards everybody in the room. You see, I have a room full of about maybe 20 or 30 people. And so it's important that I speak to you all collectively. But I am talking to Gladys and Lily. Gladys is helping out Lily, who has a language problem. She's from Colombia. She's moved to Utah. She got herself in a CPS mess, and now they're asking for help, and I'm going to see what I can do. But please email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. And she will help you get on one of my 14 shows. I'm on Monday through Sunday, morning and evening. So you just pick one of the days and one of the time zones, morning or evening. So with that being said, I'm going to I'm going to take that down. And since I am talking to the phone, I don't need to put the phone number up, but I am going to put, when you're typing a comment in, I'll take it down anyway, because it's important there. So now, Michelle White is from Georgia. And I appreciate your nice comments, Michelle White. I do try to help others here. I really do. And Natalie, thank you for all your kind words that you say. She says, appeal. I know appeal. Appeal needs new evidence of the appeal. So you got to come up with some new evidence of what your appeal should be on. Now, again, she's talking from experience in California, but we're in Utah. And so what are you trying to appeal, Lillian? Gladys, can you tell me or ask Lillian what she's trying to appeal?
Parent time. Because the rights were terminated and given to the bio dad. There's no stipulated parent time or any other form of custody. It was like gone, kids gone from contact and everything. So the dad was given full custody, legal and physical, and there's no parent time, there's no shared parent time or calls or any other type of custody.
Well, there's a formula you can use. It's a JFE 800, but it's got to be done within 60 days of the decision. And I think it's been several years.
2.
Okay, that's more than 60 days. Now, you got a paper and pencil?
Yes.
Let me ask you. There is a section they're coding, Utah Code 30-3-35.2. And it says 182 overnights per year for one parent and 183 nights per year for the other parent under the equal. Let's see what it further says. Now, were they married? Ask Lillian, was she married to her husband?
Right, and they were divorced with fine.
Okay, so they were divorced. Is he also from Colombia or is he a U.S. citizen?
No, he's from Guatemala.
So he's not a U.S. citizen. Now, the law is, I'm not a lawyer, and it's really hard right now because we allow people to come to the United States without becoming U.S. citizen. So I don't know how U.S. law applies to non-U.S. citizens. To be
The
honest
same.
with you, I don't know if it's the same or what. But when you are divorced, you're supposed to have equal parent time. And that's where I come up with 82 and 100, 182 and 183. Because you add that up, that's 364 days a year. I guess I thought our calendar year was 365.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the best
Yeah.
interest is to have equal time. Now, did she have her parental terminate rights? What was she alleged that she did that was wrong? What was the allegations?
Negligence. Her evidence, her videos, her witnesses were not presented because the attorney that she hired was not in her best interest.
Now, was this a juvenile family dependency attorney or was it just an attorney?
It was the juvenile dependency attorney, but was here in Utah County, they're all friends. Attorney are friends, so you can't trust them.
I agree, but there is the state. You can appeal to the state bar of grievance against that attorney. It may not do anything, but you can file a grievance against that attorney and demand your money be refunded back because he didn't perform. Attorneys do have a check and balance. In order to keep their license current in the state of Utah, they have to follow the rules. And if they did something illegally, like not representing your client, then that's when you file the grievance. But you got to do it at the state level. So you have to
Is
get.
there time?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know if there's a time limit?
Never a time limit to go after somebody civilly. I mean, you can file a civil lawsuit. There are time limits on certain things. The best thing for me to do, and I could try to do this, is for you all to go to the internet and type in the you want to type in a couple things. You want to get is how to file a grievance against an attorney for not performing. Okay, you want to tile it. I typed in, can you appeal your time with your child in your custody case? And that's where they would tell me 60 days. 60 days is the limit, and you're over 2 years. So when you're a parent, when your terminated rights are, you have 60 days. And what you can do is file a civil lawsuit of millions of dollars against that attorney for losing your family termination rights. But I can't believe they would allow that girl to lose her rights completely. I mean, they must have proved to her that she did something awful. And again, what were the allegations? I don't mean they're true, but what were the allegations?
It was emotional abuse and subjecting the minor to medical exams that were emotionally abusive to the child.
And how old was the child?
5.
And is it a boy or girl?
Girl.
And are there any other children?
No.
So we're talking about one child, a man from Guatemala, a lady from Colombia, got married in the United States.
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know you could get married in the United States and not be a U.S. My question is she a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
So she is a U.S. citizen.
Natural, yes, natural.
What do you mean naturally? Was she born here?
No, so she's a U.S. citizen.
So, and how do you become a U.S. citizen these days?
It's a process of applying, getting a visa, getting residency, and then filing paperwork. for U.S. citizenship.
Now, do you have to learn the English language?
You have to learn enough to pass the test.
Okay.
Do you memorize the questions?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think step one is she's going to have to go after that attorney that did her wrong.
Yeah.
She's going to have to file a lawsuit, and there may be a statute of limitation there. I don't know. But if he did not represent her fairly, then she can file a civil lawsuit, or she can file a grievance against that attorney and have him disbar. But that's not going to get back her termination rights. She could do an appeal for termination rights, even though it's after 60 days, with unusual circumstances. Unusual circumstances that may be applicable. But then again, she's going to have to get another attorney because they'll eat you up alive in the laws in this country. It's sad to say that fighting law issues and CPS is just as a difficulty as doing open heart surgery. If you know anything about open heart surgery, a doctor has to go into your body cavity, keep you alive, support your heart, and work on the heart and replace what's wrong with the heart. That's the same thing with the court systems, the same thing with the child protection system. I know those aren't the answers you're looking for, but it's really sad that it came to this. Was that child born in the United States?
Yes.
Okay, so that child's a U.S. citizen. Well, until the child becomes 18, there really doesn't sound like much you can do. I know that's discouraging to hear, but I do have an attorney that for $60 will talk to you on a strategy meeting. You know, he will talk to you with a consultation for 30 minutes for $60. And that's one of my rules. Rule number one, you need to contact an attorney. And that's 888-888-6582. You call into the office and you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And then you say, I want 30 minutes of Vincent Davis's time to talk to him in a consultation. He'll charge $60. And you can communicate with him. He's a good man to talk to. He knows dependency laws. He knows a lot of law. And he'll be able to steer her in the right direction. But instead of sitting there wasting your dimes and hundreds of dollars of bills talking to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, I've weeded that out. So I know that he's a good man. I know Mr. Davis can help you. And I want to thank him for having this podcast. He produces this podcast. And that he would help you.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate you letting us know, too.
Yeah, well, Gladys, I wish I could do more for you. I can talk to you about, a lot of things, but your case right now is 2 years old. And I have a daughter that was taken from me by CPS. She was 12 years old. And my CPS worker was a young woman, inexperienced, no college degree, no education in social work, and she lied on the stand. And my attorney, who happened to be Mr. Davis, asked her, was there any domestic violence in my wife's sister who was trying to adopt her? And the social worker says, no, they're a perfect family. Your daughter would do really nice there. Well, Mr. Davis pulled out document after document of police reports showing a bad case of domestic violence. That social worker had mud on his face. And that social worker retaliated by telling our daughter at age 12, you're going to divorce your parents and your brothers and your grandparents. You're going to divorce the whole family. You're going to change your name. You're going to seal your birth certificate, and you're going to be adopted by foster care. She now is 22. We have not seen her since 12. but she left her foster care parents because something he did was bad. And 99.99% foster care is bad for children. It is really, really, really bad. So I'm telling you, the typical social worker is really extremely bad. It's really extremely bad.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, it is. And I'm trying to tell people to be careful. And whatever you do, if you lose a case, you have to think of an appeal right away. If you have a hearing on anything, you have to appeal, 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 as Natalie says. She's in her room here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So Lily,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, one more question. So if the parent time, would you get a dependency attorney? Would you get a family law attorney to try to go through the district court?
I would get, I'd at least talk to 5 attorneys before I decided on one. And I'm telling you, Mr. Davis is the one. Now, whether he comes out to Salt Lake, whether he comes out to Utah depends on your, how much money you have for his retainer. And that's something you have to talk to him about. But the background is juvenile family dependency law. Dependency law. And it should be, family and juvenile.
Family juvenile. Okay. Do you get a lot of people calling from Utah?
You're about maybe the 4th person.
How can we connect to people that have similar cases so we can have a community?
Well, what you can do is listen to my show and see the people in my room, and you'll see the people from Utah.
Okay, thank you.
You also can Google that on the internet. Google, the browser Google, is a powerful tool that will help you get your kids back. It has a wealth of information. You just got to word your words right. The place where you are, what you're talking about is CPS, then Oric, Utah. Those are keywords to use.
It's one of the worst places on the planet to have your child be taken.
Well, I have every state in the union that has pretty much said the same thing. It's funny. I've not yet heard one good case on here where CPS did what they're supposed to do, is protect our children and reunite the family. Now, I have further comments I need to address. Let me see here. Tori Johnson, welcome. And I have no idea where you're from. If you could show me your city, state, or country, that would be great, Tori. Natalie further says, you need to file for appeal, but what the limit? Yes. Unusual circumstances is new evidence. She hit it on the head. Unusual circumstances is new evidence. You need to go into the file and review the entire file. You should also have your entire court records and go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And Natalie says she's in this room to help. I have a lot of people that come in every so on. Now, another new person is Terry McDonald. And welcome, Terry. I am just prepping to share this YouTube video that you and your internet listeners might appreciate for a current of the CPS situation especially parents that have not done anything, any parenting not in. It sounds like incomplete there, Terry. You may want to check it again. Oh, okay, you got it in there further. You have to understand, my listeners, I have several people commenting in. You may not see their comments, so I read them. I appeal for writ of reunification and California Court of Appeals. Thank you, Natalie. Terry McDonald says the interests of the child lock for the channel New Discoveries and the video is the new law and politics of parental rights. James Lindsay truly understands the underlying intersexual ideology. Terry, I still don't know where you're from. I don't know where you're texting from. He further says, Terry McDonald says, I legally recommend the video. Okay, well, thank you, Terry. Natalie says, ask me. Faye, oh, you're here, Faye. But I'm glad you're here, Faye. I'm dealing with the lady that called in early this morning. Faye, you helped me find her city. And she had lost her custodian rights 2 years ago. And in Utah, they only give you 60 days to appeal your termination of your parental rights. So, she lost time to have time with her children. She's from Colombia. Her husband's from Guatemala, and they got married in Utah, and they have a daughter who's 5 years old. They are U.S. citizens, too. Natalie further says, Hollywood, big child trafficking area. I agree. I think all of Southern California is. Terry McDonald says, for the lady in Utah, George Shear is very beneficial for doing an appellate court rulings. So write this down, Gladys. George Shear. You got that, Gladys?
How do you spell share?
Schalar. I guess it's scholar, not shear. I'm sorry. I pronounced it wrong. Scholar. Scholar. George Scholar. He does appeals in your area of Utah. So I do
George
have
Scholars.
Yeah, that's his name. Just type in that name, and hopefully, he's an appeal lawyer, and he'll help you. Now, I don't disappear in this room, by the way. I'm here twice a day. So if you can't find it or the other problems, please come back again. I will help you. I've had people who have been with me for 10 months here. So I'm not disappearing. I'm always trying to help you all.
Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate your help.
Well, thank you, Gladys. I'm sorry it was so hard and difficult at first to communicate with you. So I thank you, too.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else? Okay. They have signed off. That was Gladys and Lillian from Utah. and she lost her parental rights, and she misses her 5-year-old daughter. Now, my phone number is up again if you want to call in at 626-698-0990. Terry says, Bob, Google Scholar, Scholar, Scholar. So Lily and Gladys, if you're still in the room, Google Scholar. Hello, Bob Pace, and who am I speaking to?
Hi, it's Natalia.
Oh,
Hi.
no long time talking.
But I don't know. Did she ever get advised about filing an appeal, or she just didn't know?
Well, the problem is she speaks very little English. She's from
Right.
She's from Colombia, and Colombia is not up on the CPS, and so she tried to make a new life here. She met a Guatemala man. I don't know how she met. They married. They have one child, a 5-year-old, but they went through divorce. And in the custody of the case, they were supposed to get half 50-50, but instead her parental
Well, they must
rights.
have came in when something happened with the doctor she mentioned. So that's what happened.
Well, there's some emotional stress that supposedly Lillian caused.
But this is the problem, because I don't know Utah law, but because she waited, she would have to file for new evidence, but it's been over a year.
Well, it's been 2 years.
Like maybe 80 days or 60 days. I know it's like more than 6. You have to file in California like up to, I think, 180 days.
Well, in Utah, I just looked it up. It's 60 days.
Right. So I filed immediately after my TPR because I know they were going to play games with my file and all that. So I filed right away. I still have a copy of it you know?
Yeah.
So they need to really hurry up on this because the statute of limitations in the code.
Well, I think
I know Utah law is just really different. I don't know it, but I could look. We can look it up.
Well, there's a guy in the room named Terry, and he's gave her a name of a guy who does appeals, and so they're going to look him up. His name is Scholar, and he said to Google Scholar. So thank you, Terry McDonald. I still don't know where you're from, McDonald. But if you could tell me, there's somebody in this room. It's okay if you don't tell me where you're from. I'm just have an idea of how the country looks and everything there. Now, I talked about my rule number 1. I have Natalie on the phone who's helping me in this room here. I want to go over my 3 other rules. Rule number 1 was get an attorney. There's no question about that. I'm not saying don't use your court-appointed attorney, but keep in mind, a court-appointed attorney is going to limit you speaking before the judge and before court. If you have an attorney represent you, you'll end up sitting in the hallway in California. You'll sit in the hallway. Also, a court-appointed attorney will have 30 or more cases. He won't have time. He won't fight for your case. But if you want to use them, use them. Also, if you want to pro se, it's okay there too. But keep in mind, it's like open heart surgery. You're like a lay person cutting open your chest and trying to work on your heart. It's really bad news there. Now, rule number 2 is the notebook. You want to get at least an 8.5 by 11, 6 inches thick notebook with 3 rings. There you're going to put all your court papers. You're going to hole punch them, and you're going to get dividers and put dividers and separate all the information different. Your parenting classes certifications, your program certifications, your log of your parenting classes, your log of your program, your programs that you've taken. You want to also work on your incident log. That's everything that's happened. And with the incident log, you're going to write down the date, the time, the location, and the people involved on the first line. The next line, you're going to write what the incident was. And then the third line is you're going to write the outcome. And you may not have the outcome. It'll take some time, but leave room to put the outcome. Then skip a couple lines, put the next incident. The incidents or anything related by the police, the social workers, the children, whatever the incidents are. Also use a lot of college rule notebook paper and fill it full of that. And there's other subjects.
There's also, you could color code some of this stuff.
Oh, I always say that. Yeah, you can make color codes.
Yeah,
you can use highlighters. Yeah,
you can use. There's even something nice. They have like those clear dividers.
Right.
Like folders. It's real nice too. If you need that, if you get confused or don't get confused.
Yeah, I know. I know you could use the red color as something important. Maybe the blue color is something else. But the thing is, the main thing is to organize your notes, because I never did. I wrote on envelopes. I wrote on Post-it notes. I wrote on little short sheets of paper. They're different sizes. It was a box full of mess. And I should have started right in the beginning. I know when you're going through a lot of stress and you're really jammed up, it's hard to do. But make the rule number 2, to do your paperwork. Now, rule number 3 is that you don't want to let social workers in your home or the police. You have the right to say no.
Yes.
And you have the right to not talk to them. You can say no. In fact, the best thing you can do with social workers and police is short answers. Do not give them all your information, because they'll use it against you. Furthermore, if it gets really sticky, tell the police or social worker, I need to talk to my attorney before I go any further. That's your right.
Yes.
That's your right, and
yes,
that's an easy way to get a timeout.
What happens is they want to barge in the property, and then they just take the kids. That's what they like to do, and they trick you.
Yes, they do.
Say, oh, we have a what's the name?
A court warrant.
A welfare check.
A court warrant.
Which nobody called. They're just looking for kids.
Yeah, they are. They are. There's like the pink ladies, I tell you, in Prescott, Arizona.
Right, exactly.
That are professional.
When you have your kids, cover them up. You know, like Michael Jackson used to do. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I did with my mom. The whole back of my mom's car had like film, of like tinted film. Like I got it at Eddie Bauer. Nobody could see those kids, because I knew that these people retaliate after, like, because they just keep opening cases. They don't care. Okay,
so I say no to social workers, no to police. Don't let them, don't surrender your kids. In fact, the best thing to do, if you happen to see them outside, talk for a moment and then say you want to speak to your attorney before you go any further. Don't drive down to the social workers with your kids. Don't accept promises.
No, don't do that.
Don't accept promises.
Because what's going to happen is they're going to trap you, and then they're going to make you sit in a room or whatever, and then they'll even make you sign something.
Now, another thing is that they will use a lot of tricks. You got to be careful.
That's right.
They're tricksters. They're liars. They're not transparent.
They're liars.
Yeah, they're not transparent. So that is one thing to be careful about. The other thing is called medical trafficking. Be very careful when you take your kids to the hospital or urgent care, and they will end up tricking you. And I'm trying to tell you is that don't let the social workers. I would call ahead and ask the question: are the social workers working at your hospital? If the answer is yes, I wouldn't go there. Also, if you're going to have a child,
go there, and the best thing is, like, what you do is you have to research that hospital, like Bob's saying, because all they do is they start calling, and the social worker, when it comes to the room of you and the baby, they say we're a social worker, but they never have the badge of County of LA, DCFS, or wherever you're from. They just trick you. They say that, oh, we can bring you like a baby stroller or something. No, they just want to take your baby.
I agree.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So, and when I say medical trafficking, there's also the part about having a baby. If you're going to have a baby, you need to talk to the hospital beforehand. Do you allow social
Right.
workers in the room? Do you have social workers working for you? You need to scout out the best place to have your baby. You don't want it
Yes.
full of social workers, because if you test positive for drugs, they'll immediately take your baby when it's born. Immediately, fresh out of the womb. So I'm telling you, be careful on medical trafficking. Now, lastly, my rule number 4 is the research end of things. Make sure you spend 40 to 60 hours researching your case. You need to spend a lot of time on the internet to learn everything there is. Everything there is. Now, Faye has said a couple things. Bob, all hospitals have in-house licensed case workers. I did not know that all hospitals do. In California,
they all have a licensed social workers, but are they medical ones? You have to know that. Or
just be heads up about them, because they will trick you. Now, because they don't work for DCF, they work for the hospital. You got to be careful. Do not surrender your child. They have to have what's called a court warrant. It's a legal document signed by a judge that embosses a raised stamp, and it says explicitly what they can do and not do. It should be addressed to you as the parent, and it should list the children involved, the allegations, and what they plan to do. Plan to talk to you, plan to come to you, plan to take your children. That is the legal document. If they don't have it, then they can't go there. They have to sit in the lobby and wait. They have to sit in the lobby and wait.
They have to sit in the lobby and wait, and they can't even be there, actually.
Yeah.
So they're just there on an emergency call. You don't have to answer their questions.
All right. It's 8 o'clock. I have to end the show. My time is up. I want to thank you, Natalie, for calling in and for reinforcing the rules and helping me out with this matter. I want to thank Faye.
Thank you.
Faye says, Natalie, they're hired by the hospital, and they don't.
That's true.
They don't offer services for people who need help while in the hospital.
That's true.
And so, thank you, Faye, and thank you for being in my room so regularly. Thank you, Terry McDonald. I don't know where you're from, Donau, but thank you for your advice to help out the ladies in Utah. I want to thank that. Let's see who else is here. Thank you, Tori Johnson, but I'd never heard where you're from, but thank you for coming in the room. And then thank you, Michelle White. Appreciate that. And I want to thank everybody for listening. Good night, and God bless, and keep fighting for your children. Don't give up. And I will see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.